let's say hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. And every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, got something for you, just for you. In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. In every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. In every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. And every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, got something for you, just for you. In the morning sun, where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. In every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, Design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design.
Hey everyone, welcome to our live Q&A with Chris today. Apologies for the delay. We just had a few technical difficulties there getting us started. Instagram is, hopefully you guys can hear us on Instagram, so we just need to speak up nice and clear for them.
I'll be talking nice and loudly, so if you can't hear me or you need me a little bit louder on Instagram, please let us know.
That's right, and then today is your opportunity, or right now for the next 45 minutes is your opportunity to ask Chris any questions about the garden. And how's your week going, Chris?
Good, actually. It's a funny thing that you can sort of, I feel like we're through the worst of the worst. Well, we've still got some cold weather ahead, but you're starting to just see a little bit of movement out there. Last week when I was out doing my videos, I saw 2 magnolias coming into flower, you know, the deciduous types of magnolias, and I'm seeing little bits of blossom and little bits of flower and little bits of bud movement here and there. And although it's been quite savagely cold, I think we're in for a little bit of an early spring, and that's the feeling that I've got from what I'm seeing around the place.
Yeah, and I've even seen some daffodils, some bulbs coming up as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely now is a great time. Even if you don't have anything in flower, it's a great time to get your garden prepped for spring as well.
That's right. Well, the thing is that spring looks to be coming a little bit earlier, and so, you know, like, it's a good time to get your garden designed so that you've got a plan and you're on the way. It's a good time to start preparing, and it's a good time to get planting because spring appears to be upon us.
That's right, and we also have a really awesome Growers Direct flash sale which is currently live.
Yeah.
And you can get some incredible bargains for the garden right now in that sale.
Yeah, what happens is that plant sales slow down in our industry through the winter. And so growers who, you know, they've got to pay their rent, they've got to pay their wages and everything like that, and to keep the income coming in, they often give off their best bargains in the winter time. And I think if you were to go to our Grower Direct flash sale, you'd see what I'm talking about. There's 100 items there, and there's some amazing bargains. And come springtime, when the weather's beautiful and everybody's in the nursery, those bargains will not look like that. There's bargains like there's a 5-meter birch with a beautiful white trunk for $219 at the moment, $219.99. It's incredible. That'll be $400 or $500 come spring, and maybe not quite that big. So there you are.
Beautiful. And for those of you who have just joined us, this is a live Q&A for the garden with Chris, who has 60 years of expertise, horticultural expertise. You can get free advice right now. If you do need one-on-one consultation with Chris, you can book him with our free garden design service through our website, hellohelloplants.com.au. And we just got a little message here from Zoe on Facebook saying hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for that message. That's great.
Beautiful. And hopefully if you can't hear us,
it's great to hear that we've got at least one listener out there, isn't it?
Okay, cool. What nursery that from? I'm not sure. Were you talking about a nursery or something?
The nursery that I'm from is called Hello. So
Hello
Plant Sales, and we're out in Campbellfield, and I'm a real plant, I'm the boss here, and I'm a real plant lover, and I'd say that we would have the fullest nursery anywhere in Victoria, and probably the biggest range of plants on the floor. So if you love looking at plants, if you love to get in amongst plants, you know, come out and have a look around. I've seen people spend up to 3 or 4 hours here just looking at the plants, and you can easily do that. Or you can just pop in, grab what you need and head off. But basically, if you're interested in plants and you want to look at some plants, this is a great place to go look at plants.
Beautiful. All right, we've got a question here on TikTok asking best hanging plants for under al fresco near coastal area. Thanks.
Okay, so you've got Dichondra Emerald Falls and Dichondra Silver Falls. Really, really good. And then you've got Pittsburgh ivy would be really, really tough. You know, almost impossible to kill. And Pittsburgh ivy has a beautiful fine ivy leaf. So Pittsburgh ivy, what else would you use under an al fresco? So Pittsburgh ivy, and then something I love is a thing called a burrow's tail, which is a type of succulent that has beautiful silvery sort of like bean-like things hanging on it. Doesn't sound that good, but if you Google burrow's tail, so silver dichondra, emerald falls dichondra, and a burrow's tail, all really, really good for in that sort of situation.
Lovely. All right, hopefully that helps you out there with that question on TikTok. Great. And then we just had a question from Zoe asking, do you deliver to Sydney?
We do. We're kind of, for a middle-sized order, we're not that good. Plants are very expensive in Sydney when you compare to them to Melbourne, and we get phone call after phone call after phone call. And if you're just after one or two big plants, we're not very good at doing that because the freight is too expensive. But what we do find that we do well in Sydney is little rare and unusual bits and pieces. We post them into Sydney all the time, and there's a lot of things that people can't get, or they're very, very expensive in Sydney, and they get us to post them up. And then the other thing is big orders, like whole gardens. There's people ring up, they get it, they do a garden design with us. They do it with a Zoom garden design. We design their garden, and then we pack up 1 or 2 pallets of plants and send them up there, and you can save thousands of dollars doing your whole garden, like big lots of plants. We truck them into Sydney by the pallet, and you can save a lot of money and get some more interesting, bigger, better plants. Victoria really is the nursery capital of Australia, and there's bigger, better plants down here for less money. Very, very competitive market in Victoria.
All right, perfect. There you go, Zoe. Hopefully that helps you out with that question there. Now, Rose asks, I have an olive tree that's 4 years old. How long before it should start producing olives?
It should, in the next year or two. It's interesting, there's one company that grows olive trees, and they take their cuttings from sexually mature plants, and you can go down to this company, you could buy a tube that's 20 centimeters tall, and it'll have 5 olives on it. So how long does it take to get an olive? When you grow it from sexually immature stuff, it can take 4 or 5 years to get olives, and when you grow them from sexually mature plants, they olive much quicker.
All right, perfect. There we go, Rose. Hopefully that answers your question there. And Zoe says, thank you very much. All right, we have a question here just asking, is it true that all indoor plants need to be watered once a week?
Do you know, in the cold weather, I'd be a lot less than that. I'm just thinking, I've got a couple of indoor plants in my lounge room, and I reckon we're going once a fortnight at the moment. But in summer, when it's a lot warmer, they certainly do. And what it is, because I'm not home much, I've got the heater on only for a few hours in the evening, so I haven't got my heater on all day, and so they're in a very cold environment, and they kind of have a look about them when they need water, and I give them a good drink when they have that look that they need a bit of water, and I think I'm about once a fortnight at the moment. So
yeah, it's really slowed off a bit.
Yeah, and that it would be more if I was at home all the time and I had my heater on all day. I'd probably have to go once a week. So you've really got to use a little bit of observation and a little bit of common sense for the watering. And then when it's hot in summer, they will need a good drink once a week.
All right, there you go. Hopefully that helps you out with that question.
Possibly even every 5 days if it's really, really hot.
Yeah, okay. All right, John asks here, how much would a pallet cost to northern New South Wales? Rough pricing, of course, and he's interested in doing a design with you, Chris.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Do you know that northern New South Wales, there's a really good, depends which town, and I'd have to quote it, but we can get stuff into northern New South Wales for about $300 a pallet, which is actually cheaper than Sydney.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And as long as you're in the right spot in northern New South Wales, so the thing would be to have a chat with me, and I'll check with my company where they'll drop and how much they'll charge. But sometimes even a little under $300, depending on how many pallets and to which town. But basically, they're very good transport from us into northern New South Wales.
Yeah, John's in Grafton, so yeah.
Well, I can double check on the price there, but I reckon around $300.
Yeah, great.
And say with 8-inch pots, we could put 80 to 120 8-inch pots onto a pallet. But if you had a mixture of 6-inch pots and bigger plants, like a sort of a garden lot, you get an awful lot of plants onto a pallet.
Great. And then what about for John to do a garden design with you? We could do it over Zoom?
Yeah, we'll do it over Zoom. What you could do is it'd be best to ring up and get a booking in, and depending on how big a garden, if it was just like a little front garden, we charge $50, but then that comes off when you spend your first $250 on your garden. And for a whole big front and back, we charge $100 deposit for 45 minutes, and then if you spend over $500, that $100 comes off the top.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it works out that basically you can get your whole garden designed completely for free if you buy the plants from us.
Wonderful. All right, you can give us a call on 03 9359 3331. That's for anyone watching us right now and you want to book in that free garden design service with Chris, where you will essentially get a one-on-one consultation with Chris, either over Zoom or you can come into the store. Sometimes it's better to actually come into the store because then you can see, touch, and sort of experience the plants in their environments.
And one thing that's interesting is that it's icy cold down here in Melbourne at the moment, but up in northern New South Wales, I was talking to one of my growers last week, and he said it's 23 degrees today.
Wow.
And we were talking about getting some plants ready. He said, oh look, they'll be ready in 4 weeks. He said everything's starting to grow. So now would be a great time to get started on your garden in northern New South Wales.
Fantastic. And we've actually just fixed our sound on Instagram there. So if you are watching us on Instagram and you couldn't hear us before, we're just doing a live question and answer with Chris, and he'll answer any of your gardening questions on today's show live. So you just leave a question in the comment section and Chris will answer that live right now. If you have any specific question about your garden, even indoor plants or pots, and you're unsure, do leave us a question and have Chris answer it live, okay? All right, so Big Kev is asking, if I do a design appointment, pay for plants and you can hold the plants until I'm ready for you guys to deliver it?
Yeah, we do that lots of times. Like a lot of people, like at the time, a good time to get your design done is just before they pour the concrete, because often I'll change the whole shape of what you're doing. And certainly I love to get the job before you lay your lawns, you know. So I like getting to design, you know, I like it after you built the house, but before you put in all the concrete and everything around the outside, because often I will change what they're doing. Concrete is often put out too much concrete, and concrete's expensive. So you know, so I like to, and so then what happens? It's often going to be from the time I do my design, it's very often 3 to 6 weeks before you can plant, and so what I do when I do the design in that situation is that people order and pay for the plants. We start assembling, getting it ready for that date when it'll be ready. And very often there's things that I'll put into the design that if they didn't have them, the garden would never be as good. If all the hard landscaping's done and they're ready to plant the next day, it's never as good a job as coming in a bit earlier. So it's a great idea to get in well before you need to plant, get it ordered, get it organised, and have it delivered on time. And that's what we do. We'll deliver it. You know, around Melbourne we deliver every day. And we can drop it in that day that your landscaper is going to be planting.
Beautiful. And I did want to just say really quickly, today we are going to be open, a special day. We're open until 6:30.
Yeah,
so if
that's
you're a
right.
landscaper or you want to get your garden done,
For many people, you know, for landscapers and property owners and property developers, buying some plants can be a tax deduction. And we've been very, very busy today because of that fact, and so people, you know, it's the same thing. My bookkeeper's madly paying bills and doing all sorts of stuff so that we haven't got too big a tax bill, and if you're in that situation, you're a property developer, and your income looks a little bit high, you need a few more expenses, and if for you, and I mean you just got to check with your accountant, if for you buying plants is a tax deduction, we're going to be open until 6:30 tonight, helping you get your tax deduction done and taking the money and issuing a receipt for you.
Beautiful. All right, we've got a question here from Yamoon Indy. How tall do golden wattles grow?
Golden wattle. I reckon, I just think we did a great video on a golden wattle last year. I reckon they're probably in a perfect spot. They're going to be about an 8-metre tree in a bit of a rough, tough spot, maybe a 6 or 7 metre tree.
All right, beautiful. There you go, Yamamindi. And then we just got a question here on TikTok saying, what can I plant under my birch trees that give a wow factor and aren't too invasive?
What you could do is snow in summer is a beautiful silver carpet, and then as you get towards the end of spring and beginning of summer, covered in a sheet of beautiful white flowers. And if you were to throw a little bit of purple into that, and a purple pixie would be a wonderful little bit of flat dark purple, beautiful little plant. You could Google both those. So it's purple pixie and snow in summer, and you would have real wow factor. Look, little splashes of purple and lots of silver is really, really good.
And we've got videos of those online.
Yeah, we've got video. I don't know about the purple pixie, but purple pixie you'll find on if you it's Laura petalum. I wouldn't say purple pixie, it's not very right. So it's Laura petalum, purple pixie, beautiful little spreading purple shrub. You could even get someone to bring one in. We'll show people a purple pixie. Actually, get someone who's got some nice 8-inch snow in summer out there. If someone grabbed us a snow in summer and a purple pixie, we'll show them together.
Yeah, beautiful.
But anyway, that would make. I could think of a few other things, but I think that is a lovely, simple, and you'd use a lot more snow in summer. Lots of silver, little pops of purple, and you'd be really in business.
Absolutely. And then we've got Anita here asks, or Anita says, your voice and the National Tiles Fellow are synonymous in Australian radio.
Yeah, that's right. It's been around for a while, and my voice is a little bit distinctive. It's kind of my dad and actually you even sound. Emlin's got a similar voice to me because he's my son, and my dad had a similar voice, and I think it's some sort of soft Irish kind of voice. So
beautiful. We've got a purple pixie here. You want to show them? So this is for under the silver birch.
So here's your purple pixie, and if we got a snow in summer, we could show you the purple pixie and the snow in summer together.
Yeah, we'll grab the snow in summer now.
Yeah, so there's your purple pixie, and I love it. It's very flat and low. It's a beautiful sort of ground covery shrub, flat and low, really, really lovely.
Yeah, it really is nice. And actually the silver birch trunk with that would look beautiful.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the white, the purple and the silver, you couldn't go wrong.
All right, cool. We'll come back.
We'll come back to that in a sec, yeah.
We'll come back to that in a sec. Let's move along. And don't worry, we will endeavour to get to all of your questions here today. So just stay tuned. Your questions are coming up as we roll through. We're on multiple platforms, so we do need to answer everyone's questions. Fried asks on Facebook, my corn plant is getting dry in this season. Should I put exact soil in interior? I don't know what they mean by that. Corn or maybe plant. Because of cold weather. Corn.
Yeah,
we're assuming they're growing it in Melbourne. We're not 100% sure.
Yeah, so my compost is getting dry in this season. Should I put it in exact soil in interior? I reckon that your corn.
They're from Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should be planting. I'd be throwing it out, to be quite honest. I know it might disappoint you. Or if you had a rabbit, feed it to your rabbit. But basically, your corn needs to be planted. I would plant corn in September when the soil's starting to warm. Corn really wants soil temperatures of sort of around the 18-degree mark. So you'd plant it in September, maybe mid-September, and that's when the soil's starting to warm up, and you could plant seed or seedlings. And then with the rising temperatures and then as it matures, you'll be into the hot summer. And your corn will do really, really well. And I'd say that you've done your corn at the wrong time. Okay. And the crashing temperature is the opposite to what you want. What you want is your corn growing on rising temperatures.
All right, there you go, Fred. So just planting it at the correct time should get your corn plant really flourishing. All right, we'll move back over here. And Big Kev just says thank you.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
That was for getting the design appointments and the plants, and you gave the advice on that.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, Big Kev.
Great. All right, next we have a question here from, probably won't pronounce that on here, just a funny name, but hi Chris, part of
my tall
azalea died off. Would this be too much water or not enough?
So
What's a tall azalea? Is this just
it's a bigger
big
growing one. You know, it could be like a what do you call it? I can't think of the name.
Yeah, you
but-
see hedges of them, don't you?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right. Yeah. So I reckon if that's happened recently, it could easily be a little bit too dry. And what I think I would do is I would Osmocote is a great fertilizer for your azaleas. I'd be perhaps putting some Osmocote on there. I would be top dressing. Down in Bunnings, you can buy some beautiful fine crushed. Here we are. There's your snow in summer. Lovely. Look at that silver and purple. Look at the contrast we've got
Hang on, we
together.
probably should finish
And this one's going to have pink flower and silver. So there we are. That's
All right,
it.
so that's going back to for user 839, etc. The plants for underneath the silver birch.
So snow in summer, do mostly snow in summer, which is kind of fairly cheap and easy to do. And just a little bit of this purple stuff, and that will look great under your birches. Now, what were we talking about?
Now, getting back to that tall azalea.
Okay, so tall azalea, down at Bunnings they sell fine crushed pine bark, and that is a beautiful top dress. It's nice and acidic. So Osmocote, a top dressing of fine pine bark, and then an interesting is soil wetter. Now, soil wetter, if you're too wet or too dry, a bit of soil wetter sort of helps the water move around, actually helps with drainage, and also helps with the moistening process in the summer when it's dry. So I'd be applying soil wetter, I'd be applying Osmocote, and I'd be applying a nice thin lot of fine crushed pine bark, which I've seen bagged up in Bunnings. So really fine stuff. It's quite acidic and really, really good for the soil.
Lovely. All right. Hopefully that answers all of that for you there in regards to the tall azalea. And Fried just says about the corn plant, thank you for the information.
Yep. So plant your corn in September.
When it's getting warmer. That's
Yeah.
right, Fried. There you go.
Middle of September.
SDW asks, what's your favourite native plant for a shady spot?
Oh, native for shade. That's a bit hard.
Is it?
Yeah, I reckon if it was really, really shady, you can't go wrong. I'll give you a couple of plants. You can't go wrong with your native violet. Native violet, complete shade, no worries. And they have fine green foliage and beautiful little purpley flowers. So a native violet would be my first thought. And then often I'll put little jess, which is a native Australian native grass. I'll do native violet, I'll do little jess. So that's two really good native plants for a shady spot.
Beautiful. All right, cool. So next question here from Davo asking, ideally, how much soil for a garden bed?
Look, it really depends. It really depends. Some people in some parts of Melbourne have got beautiful soil, not so common, and other people have got terrible soil. And with terrible soil, what you need to do is you need to dig it over and mix in some things to improve the soil. And one of the ways to quickly improve poor soil is to mix good quality potting mix in. And what I reckon is that, and what I don't agree with is some people dig away, like your soil is like millions of years old, and it's you know, had all this work in it, and it may not be that good, but a little bit of fixing up, it'll be better than the soil that you buy. So a lot of people dig up their soil when they think it's too clayey or no good, and they throw it away, and then they buy new soil, and often that new soil, in my opinion, is much worse than the soil that they had. So what I would tend to do is I would either mix new soil, and because most new soils that you get are fairly light, or mix good quality potting mix with the old soils and really work at improving those soils. So you don't need so much soil if you're mixing and improving and not throwing. So don't throw away, mix and improve. Use really good potting mix and mix and improve. Dig it over, mix it through. And I remember one time a woman rang up and said, you know, she'd planted a garden and she bought all the plants from me and everything died. And I went out there and she had the most horrible clay, and all these plants were planted in this horrible clay, and they had been very wet spring and they were all dead. And anyway, I looked over the road and there was an old Italian or Greek guy working over there, and he was digging away, and his garden was just a picture, absolutely beautiful. He was digging away in the garden, and I went over there and I thought, gee, it's incredible. This woman, everything died, but she'd done no soil improvement. And I went over to this guy who had the most fabulous garden across the road, same sort of soil type, and he was digging and turning over his soil, and he was adding things to it, adding compost and things like that. And it just goes to show that that his garden was like the best garden you could possibly ever hope to have, and he had the same soil as this woman where everything had died. Yet what he'd done is he'd dug it over, he'd added and he'd improved, he'd made it more open, more porous and more fertile. And if you do that, you don't need to add that much soil if you're working on improving your soil. So improving on your soil is very much the answer. And the stuff that you buy is often not as good as the stuff you got.
Yeah.
Unless it's a good quality potting mix. But
yeah, there's usually all nutrients and stuff locked in the clay and all sorts of cool.
Yeah, well, it's been there for millions of years. It's full of all sorts of things. But often the soil that they make and sell can often only be, like, they mix sawdust and industrial waste and various bits and pieces together, and then they mature it for sort of 5 days or 6 days or something, and then deliver it, and it's all hot and smoking and really possibly shouldn't even be called soil very often.
Yeah. And you can hire those little rotary hoe, the machine rotary hoes, can't you? And
yeah.
If you've got a big yard that you need to do and the soil's really hard like concrete, you can just use one of those, mix in your...
Yeah, and mix it through. Or you can, one thing that's really good is that I have a few Indian people working here, and they have a sort of a digger that they use, a hoe, and it's amazing for digging up big areas of ground, and it works much better than a shovel. I think that you kind of can use it a bit like a shovel, but it's like a cross between a mattock and a shovel. And if I had to dig a big area by hand, and I had to, about a year ago, I had to do a big lot of digging by hand, and I used one of those Indian digging hoes, and they're fabulous.
Beautiful. All right, thanks for the question, Davo. Hopefully that gives you the answers you need for getting your garden soil right. All right, so next question here from Desi asking, what can I plant in front of my pittosporums that's low-lying and lush, dark green, waxy foliage?
Right, what comes to my mind is either Tom Thumb, Euonymus Tom Thumb, or Euonymus Green Rocket. Green Rocket is even lusher and greener than Tom Thumb, but a little bit taller. So your Tom Thumb, your Green Rocket probably wants to be 80 centimetres to 1.2 metres tall, but beautiful and lush and green. And then your Tom Thumb is also beautiful and lush and green, very, very hardy. And either of those would look really, really good up against your pittosporums and give you that. Often your pittosporums are a bit sort of silver grey, and that dark green will give you a nice contrast. So Tom Thumb, Euonymus Tom Thumb, and Euonymus Green Rocket are the ones to look at.
Perfect. All right, there you go, Desi. That answers that question for you there. And I just wanted to quickly say, if you do miss any of the answers from Chris here today, this live will be up on YouTube in about 20 minutes, where you can re-watch and hear the answers if you missed them, or if you just want to hear the answers again, you can just watch it on YouTube. We'll have it posted there at Hello Hello Plants on YouTube. All right, so Mrs. Bond sent you a rose on TikTok.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Bond.
you. I enjoy getting a rose. I think it's wonderful.
Great. Big Kev says, when does the special end, the design consultation with the free feature tree?
Right after, book it and do it this week, and we'll do it for you.
All right, there you go, Big Kev. Just book it in this week to secure that deal. All right, next up we have a question from Cassidy asking, my rubber plant has lost its leaves at the bottom, but new leaves are growing up the top. Chop it back, question mark.
I wouldn't be chopping it back now. I'd be waiting till the weather warms up in springtime, and then chop it fairly hard so you get it bushing up from down low.
Lovely. All right, there you go, Cassidy. And we've got a thank you here for you answered one of the questions. And then Chikabisaru says, do you have any Boston ivy left?
Lots, and I've got big 8-inch pots and little 6-inch pots. And so if you need lots of them and you need a fairly cheap price, you go for the 6-inch, but the 8s are beautiful and big and a really good start. So I've got 2 sizes and lots left.
Great. I've never heard this one before, but Hacker says, a bakery leftovers like sourdough and dill okay to compost?
The dill dough is not so good in the compost heap, but the sourdough is fine.
Hacker. All right, Tarugal asks, well, we made their day, didn't we?
Yeah.
Their little joke, all right.
The sourdough and the dildo.
All right, Tarugal says, I sprayed Roundup on my lawn more than 10 years ago. I'd like to grow some veggies this year. Then it sort of ends. Is there more?
Ah,
Okay.
right, okay.
Oh,
So,
do you think it would be okay to grow veggies?
yeah, look, I think that Roundup's not a bad product. Look, in the old days, like when I was a kid, I remember I think I might have been 8 or 9 years old, and I read a book called Silent Spring, and I was really worried about my dad spraying sprays everywhere, because the types of sprays that he was spraying were 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T. They were really nasty sprays. The sprays that he was putting around our place is still laying in the ground right there, right now, and might be there for another couple of thousand years. So whereas your Roundup breaks down and is gone within 48 hours and just becomes a little bit of salt afterwards. So 48 hours and it's gone, and so I wouldn't be worried at all about having sprayed it with Roundup, years ago, because it only takes 48 hours for the Roundup to break down, and your Roundup to humans is not particularly toxic. Look, there's people in America suing the Monsanto, and these people have used mountains of Roundup, and they're saying they're farmers, and they're saying that Monsanto's caused cancer on them, but these same people are exposed to all sorts of chemicals and all sorts of stuff, and they're eating at a fast burger chain on the way home, and they're they're doing all sorts of stuff. And I reckon that Roundup, when I compare it to the sort of stuff that was around that people used many years ago, I think it's actually fabulous stuff, because it kills the weeds and doesn't leave a big toxic residue like some of the stuff that was around years ago.
Yeah, it'd be pretty hard to pinpoint it if you're in that environment to one thing.
Yeah, the guy has hamburger and chips on the way home, drinks a Mountain Dew on his way to work,
right,
with 3 donuts, and then says that Monsanto with the Roundup caused this cancer. And I mean, he's got his new F100 pickup or F150 pickup, and that has sort of plastic fumes coming off it on the way to work. And then
Why having a go at the pickup?
Yeah,
that's funny.
But the thing is that what caused the caused the cancer? Yeah.
Very silly. All right, good. Kayak says, love your plants. Just redid most of my front garden. We'll be purchasing more plants tomorrow.
Great. I love the fact that you bought your plants and they're doing well in your garden. It's really, I mean, that's what we're all about. I'm all about having thousands and thousands of people around me all have great success in the garden, and we do that by free garden design, and by advising customers, and by having a fabulous nursery full of fabulous plants.
Awesome. Ralph says, do nurseries use shrubbery figures at tax time?
Shrubbery figures. No, we've got people out there counting the plants right now, and it's all ridgy-dig above board.
Beautiful. Cassidy just came back asking about the rubber plant, so cut it quite low.
Yeah, like there's no point messing around. Once the weather warms up, your rubber tree will be able to throw shoots and speed away, and cut it down to the level that you want it, below the level where you really want it to be, so that when it shoots away, it's not too tall. So give it a good hard cut, but wait for the warmer weather. Wait till you start getting some warm nights.
Beautiful.
Hard to imagine warm nights at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, definitely.
But it's happening. They're coming.
They're on their
coming
way.
soon. Yeah, by the 15th of September, which is only like about 10 weeks away. We'll be having warm nights.
Beautiful. All right, and then Chick Vasaru, who answered about the Boston Ivy, just said, I know a few weeks ago the Boston Ivy was on sale. I should have got some then. Are they still on sale? Are they in the current? I don't think they are. Yeah, we've had a look.
Let me know how many you want, and I'll put on. I'm always like to support my listeners, and I'll put on a special for you. So contact us and we'll do a little special for you, even though they're not quite on special at the moment.
All right, there you go, Chick Vasaru. And Tarragul says, my aloe vera plant is flowering. Should I cut it back?
I think like if it's only a little tiny plant, the flowering is sort of wasting unnecessary energy. You don't need flowers or seeds, you need leaves, so I'd chop it off.
All right, there you go, Taragul. And Cassidy says thank you very much, and will do. Chikpasari says thank you very much. And we got some, I guess, I don't know if this is a funny joke or not. It's probably a rude one. I don't know if we'll read that on there just in case.
What is it?
What's black and white and eats like a horse?
No idea.
Zebra.
All right.
All right, there we go. All right, I think we'll probably wrap it up unless there's any last minute questions for the garden. Now, keep in mind you can book Chris for a one-on-one consultation at any time with his free garden design service. We've got an amazing sale on right now, which is the Growers Direct Flash Sale, happening right now till Friday. And what else we got going on? Oh, we got today you've got your last day. Oh, we're going to be open extra late tonight.
Yeah, extra late tonight, and it's the last day of the tax year, and there could be people out there. I mean, a lot of people had a tough year. Maybe a lot of people don't have spare cash, but quite a few people have been. If you're a landscaper, property developer, or even a property like a landlord, the purchase of plants in certain circumstances, and you can always check this with your accountant, could be tax deductible. And so if you look around there and you find that you've got a couple of $1,000 extra that you need to dispose of and turn it into a tax deduction, we're going to stay open until 6:30 tonight and accommodate people in getting rid of their little bit of surplus cash.
Beautiful.
And issuing a receipt, of course, so that you could then show it to the tax man.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting times. All right, and then we might just answer a couple more questions. So Ferry says, I have a large box elder tree that had leaf drop last spring. What can I do to prevent this?
Box elder, leaf drop. Box elders are very, very tough trees. Leaf drop last spring. So your box elder should be bare at the moment and leafing up in spring. Maybe, and so I wonder, leaf drop. Yeah, it sounds strange. It sounds like it's not really a box elder. I wonder if it's not a Queensland box. But what it is, we had, by December last year, we had a very, very dry year, and maybe what and trees, big old trees, some of them are dry deep down. The ground's dry deep down. What you might do is get a little bit of chemical soil wetter, put it around the base of the tree, and now's a great time to do it because you're getting rain, there's a little bit of moisture there, and moist ground will accept more water than dry ground. But what you might do is put a socket hose, a bit of soil wetter out there and a socket hose, and get some moisture and do like 15 minutes a day with the socket hose, and do it for the next month, and get some water right down deep in the ground and de-stress that tree.
Beautiful.
So deep watering, and that could apply to a lot of people. Even though we've had a bit of rain lately, I bet you if you dug a deep hole near some of your big trees, you'll find that down a metre or two in the ground is just dust.
It's still dry, isn't it?
Yeah, and so the way to get water in is slowly. So like if you put a socket hose around a big old tree that you reckon might have dryness stress, sprinkle a bit of soil wetter under the drip line, use your socket hose for 15 minutes a day for a month. You'll have water down 2-3 metres in the ground, and that tree will have a beautiful spring and summer.
Lovely. Ferry says thank you. And this one, we'll wrap it up now. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, with the live Q&A. So we do this every Monday. It's your chance to get any questions you have for the garden.
Let's do one more fun question.
All right, let's see what we got here. Well, actually, there's one here from Brad saying got the wrong plants. Probably that. And
Brad Reynolds, hey mate, ordered and paid for grasses in 3-inch pots and got.
So that's not something we would do on purpose, but definitely what we could do for you, Brad, is leave us probably a message or give us a call, and we can sort that out for you.
They sometimes there's a need to substitute. Sometimes there's a need to substitute on pot sizes or something like that, and the staff are not allowed to substitute without customer agreement, and of course a price adjustment if that needs to be the case. So what I'd like to do is correct that. Like we put out hundreds of orders every week, and some staff do make mistakes, but basically there's lots of times when substitutions need to be made to satisfy people, and it's supposed to be done in conference with the customer so that the customer agrees and is happy about the change and is compensated if they're downsized. And very often we upsize without charging the customer, but basically changes have to be agreed. So what it appears is that somebody's made a change to your order and not communicated it with you or with our other staff. So it's an uncommunicated change that needs rectifying, so let us know.
Yeah, let us know. You can email us sales@hellohelloplants.com.au.
Now, have we got a fun question?
All right, let's see if we've got a fun question. Hopefully that helps you out there, Brad.
Yeah,
we'll get that
so
sorted out
we're
for
happy
you.
to help and not meant to be doing that.
All right, I don't think we
And staff can make mistakes.
All right, I don't think there's any fun questions. I think they've gone a bit over on TikTok. They've gone into some other dirty world. I can't really see any questions here, but you guys enjoy doing whatever you do there. I think we wrap it up. We've had a pretty good...
One more good fun question.
All right, let's give it a moment. Good gardening question. Now, don't forget we do these every Monday, so 12 o'clock. And yeah, it is a great opportunity. I mean, alternatively, yeah, you just book in the free garden design service and have the one-on-one with Chris.
Yeah.
All right, if we don't get a question in, we may... not a question, but I can't pronounce this username here, but it just says, good tip on wetting agents.
Oh,
that was
right.
for keeping the soil nice and wet.
Yeah, it's handy stuff. Like, it's not something you want to use on every plant all the time, but when you're in a tough situation and you've got to get some water down nice and deep when it's very, very dry, soil wet is magic stuff to use.
Lovely. All right, cool. So Jacob just asked, who's the main supplier for maples?
Oh, we've got a few suppliers. Most of our suppliers live up in the Dandenongs or up in Gippsland, and they're people that have been growing maples for years and years and years. It's kind of, I think it really takes best part of a lifetime to become a good maple grower.
Beautiful. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. So we're gonna have a live sale, a new live sale this Friday.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
We'll go through 100 amazing deals that you can check out, and we have our current sale, which is happening right now. So if you want to get any awesomely discounted plants for your garden, now's the time to check it out. It's called the Bargain Bonanza 2.0.
Yeah. And you'll be able to meet the pink tutu kid.
The pink tutu kid is coming.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to find out what that is. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Cool. Bye.